with us. It's going to be a fun night.
Absolutely.
As you can tell, my voice is about shot because I talked longer at school to the teachers than I think I do the entire year doing
Yes,
some
you
PE
did.
for them. So, but it's all good. It's going to be an amazing night. I've been excited about this one. Let's see, DC. I'm still not showing live yet. Are you? It's saying
You
we're
should
streaming
be.
live there. Let me refresh over here. Give me just a second. We got the refresh going. We are up and live. All right, folks, as always, we have the chat that's going to be up and going live as well. Make sure and share any of your comments and all with us. All right, DC, we're live. We can get this one
All
rolling.
right.
Hello world, this is Kevin from Fiction Factory, and you're listening to DC and DH on the DND Dynamite 80s podcast.
Live from Nashville, Tennessee, you are listening to the D&D Dynamite 80s podcast with your hosts, DC and DH. So guys, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. I'm DH.
I am DC, and we got, go ahead.
Oh,
TD.
man, we're here to take another. We've got a special co-host in tonight. Tammy's joining us tonight. Tammy, thank you for joining us.
Welcome from Austin, Texas. How's Austin doing?
It's hot.
it's pretty stuffy here too, man. Yeah.
Tammy, how's your week been? I'm not going to ask DC. We don't care about his.
Nah, he knows what I've been doing.
My week's big. Our nearly 20-year-old son moved into his first apartment this week.
Wow.
There you go.
Awesome.
Oh, that's a big time. That's a big time in life.
Now, Tammy, I'm really excited about our guest tonight. I'm so excited. I'm not even going to let DC introduce.
No, you introduce.
You do the introduction, Tammy.
Yeah.
You let me?
Absolutely. You deserved it.
I love it. I wasn't prepared, but I'm so excited. You guys, I have loved this band since I was in junior high. I've been
Amen.
Singing, I have their sheet music and tapes and albums and CDs. So we are speaking with none other than Wally Reyes Jr. He is the current drummer for Chicago. Wally, I want you to let me know if you're also considered drummer and percussionist, and we can talk about that later, but I don't want to leave that out.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome, Wally.
Let me say this, Wally, first off, because if I don't, my wife's going to get me when I go back downstairs. Chicago is her favorite band. She loves
mine too.
Guys play, and she wanted me to say, if you want to sing, what is that song? It's our song when we started dating. That it's on Karate Kid. I can't think of the name of it.
No, that was Peter Cetera, though. That was
Glory
Peter Cetera. Hey, he did the solo. Peter Cetera did with that one.
Well, hey, I'm going by her account of it. So I asked, and Wally, I just want to say thank you for joining us because I get a lot of bonus points for that tonight. So
there you go. Wally, I gotta say this before we get going with this. Chicago actually is the band that I've seen the most in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I have been a huge fan of. I'm with you, Tammy. I am in that court big time. I've seen them across the state here, Knoxville, Nashville, a bunch of times. Love me some Chicago for sure. But Wally, we appreciate you joining us for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll be there in Nashville next week, I think.
Oh wow, okay. Wow, yeah, fantastic. I've got to start with this. It's always kind of like, the general question that you get. But I want to add some of your family members into this question.
Yes.
An amazing pedigree. It is unreal. The background in your family, and actually on both sides of your family, with talented musicians. So I guess I already know the answer. You probably started out at a pretty young age.
Music was always in the house. I actually wanted to be a veterinarian. You rebel in a family of musicians by wanting to be a doctor.
Yeah. Just do something else. Yeah.
But it was music all over my grandparents, my uncles, and then of course, my dad is 91 and
wow, bless it. Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
My daughter was on the road with George Benson, Liliana, playing percussion and singing.
Yeah.
My other brother plays percussion for Zach Brown Band.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
And of course, they all have resumes. I've been doing this for a long, long time. I started when I was 16 in Las Vegas
Wow.
back in the day. And
wow. What a young age to be performing professionally. That's just amazing.
And
amazing.
One of the things I read, Wally, was, and it really intrigued me, was your grandfather played the trumpet and and conducted the band, the orchestra. I was wondering, did you ever perform live with your grandfather like that?
No, I really didn't have a chance because I was coming up when he was already older. And but my grandfather always had a lot of influence, being from a family of musicians, not only the performance side but the personal side. I remember seeing my grandfather after he retired. He was in Miami in an apartment, so we used to go to the beach, and while we were on the beach playing and splashing, my grandfather would take a music stand on the sand and practice trumpet on the beach. Because of course the apartment, they would have called the cops. So while we were on the beach, he was practicing his trumpet. And
right.
With clothespin, he had the music,
where it wouldn't blow away. Yeah.
And he was getting a tan on top of that.
What an awesome story.
That is awesome.
Does anybody have a photo of that?
Oh, great question.
I wish I would have had one of these in that era.
That's the truth. Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Go ahead, Tammy.
Do you want to share that little story of your first time performing in Vegas? Because it's kind of fun.
That is cool.
You mean like my first gig?
Yeah, in Vegas with the dancers.
Yeah, well, I my first job was with dancers. It was really crazy because I used to say yes as soon as I learned that I was playing percussion while I was studying the drum set. I wasn't waiting for me to get better. Looking back on hindsight, I didn't belong in a lot of those gigs that hired me. But, I said, yeah, I play percussion. So I joined everything. So one of those jobs was to play for a dancing school that was actually head by one of the choreographers in Vegas. And all the showgirls that were dancing in the strip and different shows came to this like boot camp, hard dancing, and I was playing percussion to keep the rhythm. And after a while, it was like $9 an hour for a lesson and dancing and all that. And so the choreographer saw me and he said, man, you'll be great for this show I am putting together with Debbie Reynolds. And
wow.
I knew her, of course, Singing in the Rain and, all these movies. So I got the job and I was like still in 16 in high school. I had to get a sheriff's card. And my dad put me in the musicians union because you have to be in the union. So he co-signed. And, it was a really crazy story because it just goes long and long. So I started working with a lot of older musicians, and in between shows, it was an 8 o'clock show and a 12 o'clock show in those days in Vegas. So in between shows, I couldn't go to the casino or leave. So I had to do my homework and all that. And out of all the people, everybody could leave and do things, but Debbie also couldn't leave the dressing room because she was a star. So she was stuck in the dressing room. So she would hang around. And then one time she saw me backstage doing my homework. We started talking. So she called me into the dressing room. So from there on, we would hang. She would tell me Hollywood stories about the movies and all that. And
wow.
And so, we made friends. And then one day she said, she used to call me Frito because like Frito-Lay, remember that?
Yeah.
Well, Frito. And he said, Frito, you have a car. He goes like, yeah. Had a Dodge Dart push button. And so she goes, well, my daughter is coming from school in London. Maybe you want to take her to a movie or something. And I said, okay. Well, that was Carrie Fisher. But
wow.
So Carrie Fisher came in, but I wasn't at 16. Really, I was not interested in girls my own age. I was interested in the dancers. So I kind of like it never happened, and I think Kara was not interested in me either. She was interested, like the hunk dancers, so that never happened. But isn't that funny? What it would have been?
Wow, what a story! Yeah.
But yeah, that was like my first paying gig.
So much fun.
Oh wow! Now I read also. Tell me about the first album you bought with your money.
Yes.
Man, that's
what a cool story that is.
You guys done your homework. So, before all of that, when I was in the 7th and 8th grade, I was the oldest of 5. And that's part of it. A lot of people say, my parents were like old school. My mom said, girls, help me in the house, and boys, go out there and make some money or start a business. And I'm like, Mom, the 7th grade. He goes like, I don't care. Go out there. So either do papers or sell some lemonade. So I started mowing lawns and, doing the gardens and stuff like that. And then, this neighbor and, hey, can you do mine? So I used to $10 for each lawn. And then I was putting asleep my younger brother that unfortunately passed away in December. But when he was a baby, I used to put him to sleep in the air condition, and I used to put the radio and listen to all the American British invasion and Beatles, Rolling Stone, and you name it. And all of a sudden I heard this song, and it was Beginnings. And I really like this. It's like a lot of drums and acoustic guitar, great voice. So they said CTA at the end, and I went, what a name for a band, CTA. So I went to Gemco. It's a store called Gemco. It's kind of like a Walmart. And I said, there's a band named CTA, and they have a song called Beginnings. He goes, yeah, it's Chicago Transit Authority. He goes, I want to buy the record. So it was the CTA, the first record. And I took it home, and I used to play it on the turntable. And I used to stare at the photos and, create like a vision, like, wow, wouldn't it be cool to play live with a band like this? And, I remember my dad, one time I came into the room, he was a great drummer, percussionist, jazz. It was like he loved jazz. And he came into the room and went, man, that drummer is really great. I really like him. And he liked the horn bands because more like jazz rock.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
And then, it was just like really incredible that was my first album. My second album was Disraeli Gears by Cream. And my third album, Santana Abraxas, which I played also with Santana.
Yes. I read that
years later.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about all those great artists you've been with. That's fantastic.
Dreams come true, but you have to, that you just cannot sit around and wait for them to come true. You got to go for it and do sometimes what I call, like what I tell my students, there's periods of sacrifice. You have to sacrifice. Like I remember when I started getting into music, I was already I sacrificed all the high school activities and the prom and the homecoming games.
Sure.
Buried in my studio for hours and then working at night, playing music, whatever it was. I never said no to anything. Weddings, yes. Can you do this bar mitzvah? Yeah. Can you do this little country gig in downtown Las Vegas? Yeah. I mean, I would say yes to everything.
Sure. Yeah.
And just dive on this,
Yep. And Wally, one of the things I know.
Go ahead.
I know, your family was a major influence on you, but outside of your family, who were some of the artists that influenced you at a young age as well?
Well, it's crazy because at the time I didn't know who they were, the drummers with bands, like the Guess Who, the Young Bloods, the Beatles, of course, the Rolling Stones, the Grassroots, Elvis, Stevie Wonder. So, every band that came on the radio, it's just like I wanted. So I was never the one that beat on pots and pans and wanted to become a drum soloist virtuoso. I wanted to play drums so I can use drums as a vehicle to play music with the band.
That's amazing.
So I wanted to learn well the style so I can play with that band and I could do this. Of course, as time went by and I got deeper and deeper into drumming, my dad turned me on to Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, Louis Bellson, Miles Davis, Tony Williams. And then in my living room in my house, my mom always owned the Latin stuff, all the Latin music and stuff like that. And I would look at the records and see who was playing. Later on, as I got deeper, came like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Yes. I remember Neil Diamond, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and on and on and on. And then Billy Cobham, and you start expanding your vocabulary, and then you start. We moved to Vegas, and then I was into everything. I mean, I'm talking about in downtown Vegas. Mostly was country rock in those days, and in the Strip. And I'm talking about early Vegas. There's no hippies and rock and roll allowed. Strip.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, you saw Sinatra, Sammy Davis, Jackie Gleason. Elvis was even outside the Strip in the International, what was called the Hilton.
Yeah.
Not on the Strip, outside.
Yeah.
And he was the most rocker entertainer at that time. All the rock concerts were done outside the Strip, in the Convention Center and Ice Palace. And then little by little, they start infiltrating into the Strip and all that. So I used to go to all the hotels and catch, backstage, all the acts came. Willie Nelson, Lionel Richie. You start seeing, wait a second, this is changing, and Vegas did change, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have so many influences from all kinds of styles of music, and still, even some of the young ones coming up, if I hear something that I like, or a drummer that I like, I mean, it can be like non-drumistic, as you might say. Like my wife, she's such a romantic. She gave me the other day that was a Jake Owen song, Made for You. And I listened to it. Of course, it's a love song from her to me. And so the drummer just plays so very unusual. It's not like, was made for you. It was like,
okay. Yeah. Big difference. Yeah.
So I was like interested. So
yeah.
Researched them, and I said, wow, I got to find out. So I'm always in research mode.
Yeah.
Learn.
Learn. Sure. Yeah, I got you.
And I think I'm pretty sure I read somewhere now, not only are you still entertaining and playing, but you're now sharing your gift with others by teaching.
I love to teach because, I had mentors. I call it directly and indirectly. Sometimes I paid for lessons with a teacher when I was a kid, and I gone to drummers and said, can I take a lesson from you and pay? But there's a lot of times you're hanging out or going to a drum clinic or something, and every incredible top drummer that I've always asked a question has always been nice. And that's what I do. I never said no to a kid or something. And there's no stupid questions. All questions are great, and so I teach when I'm off, and I help all the time, even in social media. People ask me, hey man, what was that drum head you used on this song? Hey, I saw a Chicago show. What kind of pedals are you using? Should I get this? Should I get that? So, the give and receive. I was given so much and so much information by mentors and musicians, Alex Acuna, Billy Cobham on a drum clinic, even like Elvin Jones one time was in a drum clinic one time, and I had my son with me as a baby, and he gave him a pair of drumsticks, and I got to talk to him. I got to talk to Joe Morello, and they were always so giving. So I imitate the best, and if you're going to imitate the best, be nice. I always have a thing. Be the best musician you can on stage, and be the best human being you can off stage. And that's the key right there.
Great
That's
advice.
awesome.
To live by, yes.
Great advice. Great advice.
Want to show everybody your drum set?
Well, this is my little recording room that I do tracks for people, and so this is my acoustic drum set.
There you go, folks. You get to see Wally Reyes Jr.'s
home
set.
Wow.
Yeah, and then for digital, I have the DWE, which is electronic samples. So I got
the DWs, huh?
Yeah, both are DW.
Okay.
And Sabian Cymbals, LP. Roland now owns DW.
And, okay.
Yeah, always use. So yeah, I people send me tracks when I'm off, and I also teach from here and other places, and sometimes we do the practice pass. Sometimes we go to the drum set.
Yeah.
And the neighbors, when they don't hear me, they hear me a little bit because it's not. Sometimes it's a old lady across the street, and she saw me the other day. I came in and I had weeds in my front, like, oh my God, because I live across Cincinnati, across the river in Newport, Kentucky.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And northern Kentucky. So
yes.
Like Nashville is very fertile. So like I come back from the road and it's like, oh my God. So I started weeding, and she crossed the street, and she's like 80s and she goes, "Hi, Wally, are you okay?" Go, "Yeah." Go, "Because I haven't heard the drums."
Oh man.
So like she keeps a tap.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Surely to goodness she knows what you do for that you do it for a living.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's something we'll never hear. No one will ever call us and say, "Are you okay? We haven't heard the podcast."
No, we're not going to get that from anybody. Man.
So you all in Nashville, and you're from Austin?
I live in Austin, yes.
Yes.
Oh, great. I love both cities. I love, I've done, so many beautiful concerts.
Yeah. And what's so cool is the two cities are they're very well known for music.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's what's kind of cool about the bond we've made is our love for, the decade of the 80s is how we connected. But, our cities have a lot in common as we have found out as we've done this. It's pretty cool.
That and every time Tammy goes on the show, comes on the show, our rating
it goes better. So it works a lot better. Wally.
Explain it.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask about, you were just showing the drum set and all that cool stuff. The guys behind the scenes, I just seen a couple of big concerts this summer. Foreigner and Styx came to town, and Def Leppard and Journey and Steve Miller are together. Went to see them. And I noticed as they were doing the transition, you got to rely on those guys like a drum tech. They're very important to you, aren't they? To make sure things are just right.
Very, especially.
Yeah. So talk about that, what their main roles are.
Well, I'll tell you, they have always been important because the crew, I mean, we don't have the energy to set up all that stuff. Like when I go and set up a drum set on a local gig, I'm tired, like
right.
If
it's a lot of parts. A lot of parts, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of parts. Drum sets are a pain in the butt, but yeah. So,
right.
A lot of parts, like you said. But the thing is, with Chicago, and this is like very unique, they don't sound check. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah, we just arrive and never get to touch my drums or see my drums before the show because we arrive and we do a meet and greet. Just get ready to do the show. They let the audience in, and when I step onto my drum set, that's it, the first song. And so I rely on my drum tech to literally
huge responsibility for him. Yeah.
Tune my drums, sound check, and our guy sound checks with a CD and tunes the system and all that. And every room is different. So that's why Chicago, basically their thing is even when you get the gig, we've gotten like the bass player and new bass player has been with us for like almost 2 years. But when I remember, I met the band 20 minutes before the show and I said, "Hi, I'm Wally." They knew I was coming, but their motto is, we've been doing this for 50 something years. You learn the music. I'll see you on the downbeat, so why do I have to rehearse for you? So it's like, yeah, see you at the downbeat. You either cut it or you don't cut it. So at the end of 2 or 3 concerts, you're either in or you're not, because that's the bottom line, really. That you can rehearse, then you do the concert. To me, that's the first rehearsal. I mean, that's the real deal. Some bands rehearse for a whole month, and then they do the concert, and a lot of things go wrong. Or not. But, the first concert is it. That's real time. And that's what I did. And, I remember I was actually doing like 2 weeks, something like that, of percussion for Chicago. And I even had the guy sign my record and everything, just in case I didn't see him anymore. I brought my
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I brought my second record, and they wrote, "Nice working with you. You're great, this and that." And then I was gonna. So after my third concert with them, Robert Lamb came into my dressing room, and they said, "Hey, Wally, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Oh, he's probably gonna tell me."
Yeah, you're thinking you're getting the axe. Yeah.
Don't do this over here or here. Play a little softer and do this and do that, which hadn't happened. And I said, "Oh, I'm finally gonna get some liners."
A little feedback. Yeah.
And let me get my pencil and paper. And he goes, you sound like you've been with us forever. If you want to join the band, just hop on the bus. You're welcome. And he laughed. And I was going, was that just a compliment? And Chris at that time was the drummer. He came, "Wally, I think he just hired you." I went, "What?" And so I wasn't even sure. So I called him back the next day. He goes, "Yeah, so this is going to be the details, da, da, da." Then I was in.
Wow, what a story. That is fantastic stuff.
But that was no rehearsal. So basically I learned to go, and I did 3 concerts, and they realized, yeah, we feel good. I always say to my students, it doesn't matter what you do the best you can. That's all you can do. Yeah. Be the best musician you can be, and be a nice guy, nice human being when you're not on your instrument. But while you're in your instrument, it's not about you. It's actually how you make the artist feel. If that artist doesn't feel good because you're too loud, even if you're playing fantastic, if that artist doesn't feel good or the band doesn't feel good, then you're not it, because it's not about you. It's not about how great you are. It's how great you make them sound and look. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
such great advice.
I always go to every gig, like starting with my setup. So if we're playing, say, like I'm playing for a country singer, acoustic, with acoustic guitar, gentle. Well, I probably won't bring this drum set. I'll probably bring a smaller, simple drum set. Make sure you have your brushes, your blast sticks, your mellow, soft cymbals.
Toning it down a little bit.
If I get hired by an electric guitar player, really loud, real hard rock, then I probably will get bigger, get the cymbals that can cut through. I always, my setup depends on the music, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The music dictates, and the artist. So I said, like, what do you need? That's what I always forget about me. What about you?
Gotcha. What you got, Tammy? I know you got some.
Well, I do, and we're touching on some of it, but Chicago's amazing. Chicago has a super deep catalog, but you still play a lot of the same stuff, gig after gig. Do you ever tire of the same things? Is there one song where you're like, I wish I kind of didn't have to play that this time?
There's so great songs that you would think that, right? But I'll tell you, because it's live, and then you see the people, the emotion of the people, and they're so great, the songs, that there's some that, depending on the era, like I always say to people, Beginnings, of course, that was the first song I heard on the radio. And when I hear Robert sing, sometimes it's just like I get goosebumps while I'm on stage. And, because Jimmy Pankow, Robert Lamb, and Lee Lockney. They're
Sure.
When we're on the road is Robert, Jimmy, and Lee. Hey, Robert, where did you eat today? Yeah, man, I had this ramen. It was really great. Hey, Lee, what's going on? Hey, you know, blah, blah. But when you're on stage and you go, oh my God, that's like Lee Lockney.
It's those guys. Yeah. Yeah.
It's those guys. And you get that.
Right.
Of course, I love a drummer playing more like the 70s Chicago. Then the 80s music, that's when, you know, I was with the mother of my children. My kids were born like starting in 89. And so those love rock ballads by David Foster and all that, that had to do with the age I was in time. So that was more mature, and those songs meant a lot to me. But you know, they've always been incredible composers and players, and now that I know them, they're great guys, and they make it easy. So you know, it's really a great question, because it happens with many other bands. Like it happened when I was with Santana also, and I worked with Steve Winwood for 10 years,
right?
With Lindsey Buckingham, and playing You Can Get Your Own Way. It's like, man, I remember where I was when this song came out.
Those iconic songs, sure.
Iconic. So they're like, I don't know about it is about me, but you know, I'm so blessed and so honored to have worked also with another one, Robbie Robertson, Jackson Brown.
Yeah.
You know, you get to know them, and then all of a sudden you desensitize to the stardom. You know, it's like, you know, hey, Jackson, I just saw him, what was it? Last November, I was in LA recording for a friend of mine that I used to work with, David Lindley. And I went into Jackson Brown's studio. And as I was parking the car, he was in the car next to me leaving. And I went like this, and he didn't recognize me. And I rolled down the window. He rolled down his window and went, Jackson, because the last time I saw him, I think long hair.
Right.
I went, Jackson, Wally. He goes, Wally. He came out of the car and went back inside the studio, and we hung out. I mean, that's when you go, yeah, I'm hanging out with Jackson. Man, this is a rock star.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know, but such great hearts, you know.
Yeah.
I love, you know, when that happens.
Sure.
I think that's one of the things I love about
that is so cool.
podcast, because we're talking to you like, you know, we're just sitting at a table having a meal or having a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Next time we'll have one.
That's right.
Hey, you come to my neck of the woods, and 5 minutes from me, they open up a New Riff bourbon distillery. Because when you're in Kentucky, I don't care.
Boy, they're known for that bourbon. That's right.
That's bourbon territory.
That's exactly right.
Puerto Rico and Cuba is rum.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but it's part of the culture, even if you don't.
Sure.
It's just the culture and the history. I've been to all the distilleries.
Have you? I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Beam and all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all history.
Yeah, so, sure.
Yeah. Come on down.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a brother. My middle brother actually his family lives in right outside Louisville.
Actually.
Yeah.
I love Louisville.
Yeah. Yeah. My fiance's people are north of you, just a little bit south of Dayton.
Oh,
Dayton. Okay. Union, Ohio, and right in that area is where all her people have come from, and her brother still lives there. So I was up there this past summer, actually. Yeah, the start of the summer.
In LA, then I moved to Vegas, and then I met my wife, and we had a long distance relationship.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't move to the West, so she's from here, from Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
And then we started dating, and then I arrived one time to CVG, and it's like the fastest, easiest airport. And I said, I think
I can do this. Yeah.
So I moved.
There you go.
Rented my house and moved.
Yeah, it's an awesome area. Absolutely is. Beautiful area. Let's talk about, you've already mentioned several of them, so you led me into that. And you named several of those, but there's a couple of them that I'm curious about as well. Gloria Estefan, right?
Yeah, I worked with her and between Santana tours. So when I was with Santana, I did a tour with Boss Gags.
Yeah.
And then another one with Gloria Estefan when the whole Unplugged situation happened and they needed more percussionists. So I went to Miami and recorded a VH1 documentary where I did a few television shows. And then I went back with Santana. And, but, in between, sometimes freelancing, I did like a Mickey Hart, the Grateful Dead tour.
Yeah.
I worked with Lindsay. The most longest that I've worked has been like Santana 89 to 93, and then Steve Winwood 94 to 2004.
Yeah, 10 years.
Wow,
yeah.
Then from 2007 to 11 with Lindsay Buckingham.
Yeah.
Then because Lindsay, the situation was that we were gonna tour the UK. We still had 5 months to go, and that goes to show you sometimes you never know what happened from a tragedy. Sometimes good things happen. What happened is a guitar player, right-hand man for Lindsay, it's a situation with his back and couldn't get out of bed and wind up being operated in his back. And he canceled the tour and went just solo because he didn't want to go start over with a new guitar player. So when that happened, I started freelancing. So I worked with a band called El Chicano in LA. And then this over here and a drum clinic. And, you start in survival mode, just freelancing, doing recordings during the day.
Right.
And then I got called to do, can you do percussion with Chicago for like 2 weeks? I go, sure. So I had it in the calendar, Chicago, then go back to El Chicano, and then go to South America to do master classes.
Right.
Well, after that Chicago gig, I never left.
Right.
Right.
And they're glad. Yeah. And I know they're glad of that too.
So the 13 years.
What's the most difficult song you have to play with Chicago?
Oh, great question.
That's a good question. So I think there's basically two that for any drummer that wants to.
And a challenge?
Yeah.
The first song of the first album, Introduction, Terry Kath wrote, and Jimmy, our trombone player, which wrote all the horn parts and all that, basically with a pencil and a paper. He was just going on with it, and Jimmy wrote the parts. Is Introduction. Introduction plays so many styles and odd times, and it goes from here to there. It basically introduces each member of the band. And then the second one is the ballet for a girl in Buchanan, which was Jimmy Pankow. Can you imagine? He wrote that for a girl. Love is beautiful when you're young, right?
Yeah.
You go to the second album, there's which the ballet includes Make Me Smile and Color My World. But the weird thing is, in those days, nobody was going to play the whole ballet. So they took Make Me Smile and edited for radio. So, because that was part of the ballet. And so we do the whole ballet on the show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know, about 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's got to be pretty lengthy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the rest of the song, all the songs you have to have tender love and care in each song. The ballads, the faster tunes, some are more aggressive, some are more little jazzy, and so that's why I love playing with Chicago as a drummer, because it's kind of like Steve Winwood. You have to know a lot of styles, and it has dynamics. It has the ups and downs. There's beautiful ballads. There's medium grooving songs that you just want to sit there and groove. And then there's some that are more intricate. So it's not like this, the whole show.
Right.
So there's
their music is all, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
I'll never get bored.
No. I mean, you and Ray have this epic battle on stage that blew my mind. I recorded it on my lovely little phone. Absolutely mind-blowing. That's so much fun.
But I'm so happy that they allow us to do that, even though it's short. And the thing with the percussion solo, the drum percussion solo in the song I'm a Man, which happens to be a song by Steve Winwood, which I also play with Steve Winwood.
Okay. Yeah, you played it with him. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really crazy. But it's a solo that we build to entertain the audience, because I would say the majority of our audience, they're not necessarily drummers. So I'm not gonna cater to drummers. That's one thing that I learned from my dad. He says, know your audience and play for your audience. If it's a dance audience, play dance music. If it's like, a drumming audience, then you might have to concentrate on that,
Yeah.
So it's like, we just want to entertain and make it fun for everybody.
And
DC, I think that might be advice we need for this show. Do it for our audience. That's the key.
That sounds like great advice to me.
We're figuring this thing out, Wally. Thank you for helping us go to that next step.
That's exactly right.
Wow. Isn't that like even in restaurants when they tell you the customers is always right, customers are a pain in the butt. You gotta, don't burn the bridge and try to, I always say that, and with bands, of course, playing with bands, but of course, today in social media and all that, like I get all this unsolicited advice, which is I actually laugh. I don't get pissed off anymore. I laugh. when you get a troll, you get like all this nice, man, I went to the show last night. Oh my God, thank you, bro. All of a sudden it's like, you know what you guys should do? You should do this and you should play this. And why are you doing this? You should do that. And I'm going, wow, who's this? Maybe he's like a big producer or something. And I go to his side. He's got 0 post.
Right. It's that ghost guy. Yeah.
Or drummer. You mean you don't have no platinum on your wall? You're telling us what to do. Okay, I got it.
Right. Yeah. Let me put that in the suggestion box.
And Wally, I'm going to steal that too, because I always tell everybody any negative comments, send them to DC. Now I'm going to say any unsolicited advice,
send them to Wally.
To DC.
Yeah. Entertain me.
Wally, here's a question that as being a huge Chicago fan, I just gotta ask, the longevity of that band.
Oh yes,
probably it's got to be up close to the highest, the top of any group in music ever. And my question to you is this: how's that longevity? How's that strength of that band stayed together like that through all of it?
Not easy. Yeah. But the crazy thing is, let me add to that, is 56 years consecutively.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing. I didn't know.
Which is amazing. Yeah, that's unreal.
I didn't know this because Steve Winwood, and Lindsay, they took breaks sometimes a year or 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back. No. Chicago starts in February and ends in November. And then the next year we're back at it, sometimes in January or February, and go back at it. And they've been doing that even in 2020. We did videos from here for our audience and Christmas videos, and we were working on how to make this thing work over here, because I was locked up here.
Yeah.
So like the consecutive is just amazing. So, and it's really a testament to their personalities, because of course we have a great manager, Peter Chiavarelli, that sometimes tries to weave, because bands that have been around that long, like you say, like Fleetwood Mac, that still have several members. Now Santana just has Carlos left, right? Or you have somebody that is just that one person,
right? One or two, yeah.
When you're working for, when I came into the band, it was 4: Walter Parazita, the horns, and Robert Lamb,
right?
So you got 4, and sometimes there's different decisions, like, oh, I don't think we should do that. Yeah, do that. No. So just, it's almost like, wow, I wish I got to learn, because if I learn this, it will be peace in the world and no divorce, and we will work all the family riff.
Sure.
I mean, imagine like just like with Fleetwood Mac, like going on the road for 50-something year with your ex-wife or your
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. You know, my brother,
right.
You know, they're siblings. They're almost like siblings. They've been together. They have been through trials and tribulations, death, tragedies. They rose and they still, you know, so it's really remarkable.
It is amazing.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
And that's a great question because a lot of bands, they're still playing today, but they take 1 or 2 or 3 years off. And then they're back for this.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah.
So, folks, Chicago, 56 years of doing what they do, and Lord with them, that they don't slow down anywhere soon. It doesn't
look like it.
And it's been a fantastic ride for sure.
Oh yeah.
It helped me grow up through all those years and all the, you know, like you said, those love songs that stick out to you. The first dance, you know. But DH, I don't even know if you know this story, but one of the dances, high school dances we had, I couldn't dance and still can't. But some of those Chicago's, you know, back in the, it was actually junior high school, not before that small little school we went to. And I'll never forget that those cafeteria dances where we had Chicago, and we would play them late at night on the radio.
Oh yeah,
you know those Chicago songs would come on.
And not only that, but you would have those 2 different cassette cases in your car.
That's right.
The hair metal hard rock for with the guys, and then the good
That's
stuff,
right.
the Chicago and everything.
When the time
when you're
was
on a date, you got to put in Chicago. You know, hey.
He loves Chicago. No kidding, I do. Yeah, you better believe I do. You know, you're right.
And again, Wally, thank you for the bonus points.
Right.
Right now, we're with Earth, Wind, and Fire, Chicago on the road together.
Have
the same thing, hit after hit after hit. And it's the same thing. Some of the songs are like boogie, 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 and then there's this ballads.
Right. That's right.
And Chicago from inspiration, hard habit break to like 25 or 6 to 4.
Yeah.
Feeling stronger every day. And it's like, you know, they got like the ups and downs.
Yeah. Mix it in there. Yeah.
We're having such a great time on this tour. I arrived 3 days ago. And I got to leave back again on Sunday to do 4 weeks. And then we end the Chicago Earth, Wind, and Fire tour on September 8th. And then we continue. We're going to Japan, Hawaii, and more. We're going to the East Coast again until November, Thanksgiving, Christmas, back at it.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That is just...
Yes. Your wife, Kirsten, just began modeling not long ago. Is that right?
Yeah, you know, Kirsten should have been a model a long time ago, but her family were very strict in that aspect. They didn't allow her when they actually got offers of contract because she's very tall, and she instead went into sports. So she played volleyball in East Tennessee University.
Yeah, ETSU.
ETSU, yes.
Johnson City. Know it very well.
Dangerous. Middle striker, man. Be careful.
There you go. Small world. Small world. Wow.
So then she got into, you know, scuba diving and the printing business, and that's what she still does now. But just for fun, she did this thing in Myrtle Beach, and she won 2nd place of adult female model. And then there was like Wilhelmina and all these companies there. And of course, I said, honey,
started reaching out. Yeah.
Of course, if you would have done it 30 years ago, they would have done the same. And so she's in with a Heyman model agency, and so she's doing that on the side, and she's still, you know, scuba diving and the aquarium. She dives with the sharks.
Wow.
Yeah.
No thanks.
See, I have a rule.
When I first met her, she told me, you know, and you scuba dive? You go, yeah. You know, I asked her, wow. Like, she goes, yeah, I scuba dive in the shark tank at the aquarium. He goes, perfect. You can hang with the swimmers.
Yeah. My thing is, I will not. I don't do the ocean or scuba diving with sharks because if they see something my size, all they're thinking is buffet.
They'll say that's a
buffet
great
is
snack.
open.
Yeah.
The buffet's open. Let's go.
Right. That's a great snack.
Yeah, but she's really involved in ocean preservation, and she knows everything about sharks. And I've actually learned a lot from her. Like one of the things that I used to do with my kids when I was in Manhattan Beach, there's a pier, people are fishing, and there's all these people bathing. Never go into a beach where there's people with bait throwing it in the water. What does that do? Sharks are going, oh yeah.
Right.
Thought of that.
The buffet's on there. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm an environmental science teacher, high school teacher.
Fantastic.
Matter of fact, DH is one of my assistant principals. We worked together and grew up together on the same street, and that's kind of our story of our show. Is we know each other better than I guess anybody does.
Yeah, he's older. He's older. By
23 days older. So he gives me crap about that. So, we've known each other all our lives. It makes this fun and makes this a special show.
The cool thing is we're very blessed because we get, and I was a teacher up until 3 years ago. I took an AP slot, but we're very blessed because we get to teach in the high school in our hometown.
Yeah.
So we are so blessed by that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It is cool. It's a cool deal. It is a cool deal.
Teaching is something very special. You're not only blessed, but unfortunately, like it happened to me, I wish I can go back in time and hug a lot of the teachers that I really didn't like. It were so hard on me. They made me do such hard homework. And they were like, and now I really want to go back. I mean, when I was in 6th grade, I went to military school in Puerto Rico. In the 6th grade, they used to make me memorize all the countries with their capital and what they did. And, Budapest and this and Europe and Africa and this. Yeah. And I'm going, what do I need this for? I just want to go to the school dance and play some percussion. But now, when I travel the world, it's like, I know all these places. Why? Because of that teacher.
Yep. And that's another thing we're very blessed by. One of the teachers that, you have those certain teachers that make a difference in your life. One of those teachers is actually a teacher in my hallway, in my freshman hallway that I'm an AP over. So I get to work with that individual now.
She was our 7th grade. Language arts teacher.
Yes.
And she's actually a neighbor of ours too.
Yes, amazing.
So she's known us most of our life. And I'm blessed to be and I just moved back into this room. I'm directly across the hall from her.
That's fantastic.
And she was this is like year 48.
So yes.
Something like that for her. She's phenomenal. And she has a passion for teaching. She loves it. And I said, Mrs. T, when are you going to give this up? Mrs. Troball's her name. And I said, Mrs. T, and she goes, I don't want to give it up. I love what I do. And she, like I said, she's great at it. But, it's heartfelt when she says, when I see you kids go out in the world and do like you're doing across this hall from me, she said, that's what the reward of it is.
Yep, and she's right.
She said, I always knew, you were great and you were going to do awesome, and I knew that, and I knew Dale was going to do great, and there he is at the top of the he's helping run the school, and we have talks like that. It makes you feel good, that people like that they made that difference in your life, and you went that same path as they did. It makes them feel good too. So,
and that's cool. What I think is so remarkable with you, Wally, because I mean, you're on a whole different level as far as a musician. I mean, you're just amazing.
You teach. You're a performer, but you're a teacher.
Yes, and that passion you have that you give those students.
It's very special.
From one educator to another, I want to thank you for what you do.
It's very important what you do. Absolutely, there is. I mean, you have the gift of performing and spreading this wonderful music that we all love.
Yes,
but just as impressed I am with your giving back to those kids or young people or whoever that want to learn it and perform it as a teacher. So that's just as important.
Oh, yeah.
Just as important.
you know, you probably have the same situation. Like for me, one of the challenges is to, like you said, you know, to actually see the kid or the student, whether they're young or older, get it, and their eyes go like, I got it. Where before, like, well, I can't do that. Oh, I can never. Oh, you mean like that? Yeah, you got it. Oh my God, I got it. So like, you know,
it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Oh yeah.
Greatest feeling. And you know, sometimes it's challenging for me. I have a thing where I'm sure it happens to you, where when I see kind of like this in their faces, somebody else got it, but they don't get it. So now I have to go, okay, let me rewind. I got like A, B, C, but sometimes I got to go minus A.
Right. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
slow it down to where, you know, let's go back further. And actually, a great teacher, I just got this computer because the other one, I was very blessed. There's a gentleman in town, Peter, that not only came to help me with the computer, but he's a great teacher. And I told him, he goes so slow that he starts at the basic. And I go, Peter, just go ahead. Even if I know it, let me repeat it because I need to like. So he is such a gift for teaching and explaining. And that I went like, oh my God, and I told him today, I says, I want to meet your son and your daughter to tell them your dad is a fantastic teacher and you're so lucky. Because, you know, that has to be said, you know.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right. The compliments, that's one thing that, you know, when you feel like somebody's doing something great, just open your mouth and say it.
I'm going to tell you speaking of that, one of the greatest gifts as a teacher, every year, like the English teachers will have students write letters to their favorite teachers. And man, you talking about if you have a hard day and you pull that letter out and you see
Makes
the
it all
difference,
worthwhile,
that kid
bro.
tells you the difference.
Yeah.
I'm like you just, that is what it's about. Everything else is irrelevant at that point.
You know, one of the things that actually helped me, and this is really crazy to say this because I was already in my probably 50s when this is my second marriage, and we got a dog, and I didn't know anything about dogs, but when I left on the road with Steve Winwood, she was freaking out, staying alone, so we got a Rottweiler, and because you would think that, oh, you know, it's scary looking and this and that, but this dog was the sweetest dog ever. And I enter, to make a long story short, into dog training, and I'm kind of like OCD, so whatever I do is all or nothing. I either go all the way or not at all. So when I got into dog training, I became obsessed, and I even met the dog whisperer. Used to live in Santa Clarita, California.
Yes.
I met him in Home Depot. And I asked him a bunch of questions, and he gave me a couple of numbers. But I got so much, and dog training showed me that, of course, if you don't have a treat when the dog does something good, you have to pay a compliment. You have to like, good dog, and hug him. Yeah, because
that's right.
If I'm making him happy, I'm going to do it again. But if I do this, he's not happy. So, you know, so you have to. So one time I was in the park doing my lessons and all that, and go, look, he sat down. And then I said, lay down. And he laid down. He goes, the trainer goes, your dog's doing great, but you're not. You're forgetting to give the compliment.
Yeah.
When the dog does something good, compliment, Wally. You have to learn that. So you know what I did? I took it really seriously. When I went back home, that dog changed my life, man. I called my dad, my mom, my kids, and I basically told everybody how grateful and thankful and how great they were. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Dad. Mom, how did you do it with 5 kids? And then I complimented my daughter. I called them all. So basically, it's like, that's what I learned in dog training, that I was one of those guys that, you know, I'm playing and the bass player is playing his ass off and I'm going, man, that guy's great. Feels so good. Tell him.
That's
great advice.
Great advice.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
DC, I haven't heard how
I need to
great
do
I'm
that,
doing
with my parents. And that's just wonderful advice. I mean, because you're right. It doesn't take any effort. It's just a matter of doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can change people's demeanor over just in a snap.
Yeah, they got
and and that's a great point. Why as human beings, why do we not do enough of that? You're right.
Yeah. And then, in my
that's
marriage,
a great point.
Kirsten is a person that reminds me because, like I cooked dinner yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
When I come home, I like to cook. I've been eating out for 3 meals for 3 weeks, and now it's my turn. I want to cook, and I cook for her, and she thanked me, honey. In the middle of the night, we're like in bed already. And like, thank you, honey. You go for a wonderful meal you cooked. It's like, oh, honey, you already thanked me. He goes like, well, I want to thank you again. It's just like, whoa, honey, I like, so it's just, it brings the vibes better. Is to be grateful.
Yeah.
There is exercise it. I have something popped up here. Okay. Yeah. So I'm still learning about it. I'm still practicing life.
Sure.
To be a better human being. Like I said before, practice being a better human and practice being a better musicians.
Yes.
We practice that a lot. Right here, I was practicing before you guys came on in my practice pad over here.
Yeah.
So I'm always practicing music and drumming. Why not good humanness? You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
Amazing.
That is
Amazing
awesome.
Advice. Yes.
Tammy, do you have a couple of quick questions before we get Wally on out of here?
Yeah, I was just going to ask with the practicing, do you practice, anyway, do you practice skills? Do you practice songs? Which is more, because it's different.
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. And that is, if you're practicing and everything feels good and everything's successful, that means you're going in a straight line. So you got to, what I have the saying, keep up with yourself. Don't let what just kind of like get out of shape. You got to oil the car, the doors, and everything. But you have to always try to challenge yourself and learn either some new technique or song learning. And that's a practice. You don't even have to be in the studio. You can be on your car and a song comes up and basically you're either hearing or you're listening. So listening is like, oh, okay, short intro, first verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and then they went back to the and then interesting. So you're already practicing mental floss, how the songs go. Because before you play, you're listening and you already know, okay, I'm going to do this in this part. So all that, practicing music, listening to records, playing with records, learning new songs, that's practicing. Technique is like, I always tell my students, when you, I don't know what you guys like in sports, but like whether it's American football or volleyball or soccer, whatever, or boxing, you just don't play football or you just don't box. You go like, jumping rope. You want to practice football? Give me 10 laps. No, I want to play football. What do you mean 10 laps? That's all the same thing.
It's all part of it. Yeah.
Practice exercises that you think like, what does that mean when it comes to music? Well, you're practicing technique so you're able to speak fluently in the music language to express yourself with the other musicians. So when you speak the language of music, you have a vocabulary. But to develop vocabulary, sometimes you need to do push-ups and laugh and all that stuff that a lot of students don't like, So yeah,
that's a true statement. If there ever was one, I'm with you on that.
I try to give like a minimum, and it's a healthy thing, 1 hour a day, because injuries happen, and I'm not talking just drums. I'm talking about vocal cords, sports. You can't just like not play for 5 weeks or 3 weeks and go on a vacation and then come back and play because your muscle memory, that's when you get the shock and a little injury. And you got to keep up the muscle memory. And if you actually take some time off, then you got to go back to the bottom and start over again. So there's a climb, but you cannot just quit and go hiking in the mountains, even though it's exercise, and come back and play drums at the same level.
Yeah.
Because that can cause an injury.
Yeah.
So that's something I learned not long ago.
Uh-oh. The hard way, I take it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So you have a ton of energy on stage, like the whole band does, but you are just giving it your all every single night. What do you do on the nights that you just don't have, before the show, you're not feeling well, you don't have the energy, you're distracted? Like, how do you focus? How do you at least fake that you've got that energy somehow? What do you do?
Well, that's a good question again, because we're all humans, and not the show. It's got to be good. My dad always told me, and this sounds like harsh, but he said, son, when you're not feeling good or something's going on, at your worst, it has to be good. At your worst. And so then it's got to go up from there. Right. The worst is good. And so, like, with that being said, sometimes, like recently, just last 2 weeks, I had a digestive problems. And I was like, and then before that, I had a little thing on my back, but now I had an epidural before this tour. So I'd actually took, and it was really good, but I was taking Tylenol and stuff like that. So it just kind of messed up my stomach. And sometimes, like, you basically just do what you have to do, either drink a lot of water, or you go to the doctor, or you try to sleep, and diet is a must. And so it starts from there. Like, if you have broken sleep, you're going to feel it, the energy, and so diet, I try to eat light, and then eat a breakfast. And then sometimes breakfast is at 12. And at 4:00, I try to eat a light meal to get me through the show. And I eat very, very light after the show, not heavy. And then, I'm 68. I'm going to be 69. So walking and swimming are my exercises. I don't do a lot of the weights or harsh exercises like I used to do once upon my life. But, like walking and swimming, using the swimming pools of the hotel, and stretching. It doesn't matter what, winter, spring, summer, or fall, stretching before the show, whether it's some kind of yoga, whatever, because that's really important, aside from the warming up. I mean, if the best in the world do it, what makes you think that you shouldn't? So I have a friend of mine, it's a coach from a baseball team, and he goes, we're talking about this. He goes, Wally, when we get to the baseball stadium for a 7:30 a game, go, no, at 1. So what do you think we're doing? We're at the bar? No. We're warming up, stretching. So when we hit the baseball field, we're peaking. We're now warming up on the first inning.
Right.
So the same thing happens with all the sport. You see it now on the Olympics. I'm a big fan because I just don't see the sport, whether it's gymnastics, it's just the pressure. The world is watching, the family's watching. There's artists and stars and the bleachers watching. I mean, the pressure that those athletes are on is enough to melt you, and then they have to be their best. So it's a mental and physical.
Yeah.
So, so, and then of course, to answer your question, something that happens, I've done shows where I have the flu and I'm so sick. And when I get to the stage, there's such a thing, and it's true, music is healing. I mean, the adrenaline of the people, the audience, the music, it basically, you get energized and you do the show. After the show, you're dead. But, when the audience is gone, you feel like crap again. And I'm going, wow. But that has happened to me many times. So I really, it's not a cliche. Music is healing.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Wow. Wally, just amazing. You gave us a gift tonight, my friend.
Oh, you did. Yes.
Well, I I just feel so blessed that we had a chance to talk with you, man. It was wonderful. Okay. I want you to hang in there. We'll wrap it up and all that great stuff. But it's been wonderful, my friend. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. We'll do it again.
Absolutely, we will.
And Wally, I'd like to say, as we're getting ready to wrap up here, you're now an official member of DND Dynamite family. So
absolutely,
we are so proud to have you as a member of our family.
Thank you.
Like DC said, amazing gift you gave us tonight, and everyone listening. And Tammy, thank you. You're co-hosting
the Shining Star. We appreciate you. You make us look good.
Yes,
great questions. Really great questions.
Fantastic. As usual.
One of these days, we're going to get on Tammy's level, but until we do, we're going to keep bringing.
We're going to bring her. Yeah, she's going to keep bringing us along. So there you go.
All right, carry these guys all the time.
All right, DH.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this. I mean, I love it.
It's been our honor.
It's been our honor. We really appreciate it. All right, folks.
I'm sorry, DH. Before we want Wally to stay with us all the way to the end, but Wally, go ahead and give a shout out to your socials where people can.
Yes.
Forgot to do that. I was so in awe of your interview. I was just.
Well, I
forgot that.
On Facebook and Instagram, and I think that's enough. I mean, my oldest son told me, Dad, you gotta be on the 15 social media. 15.
Too much work. Yeah, that's a lot of extra work. Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, WReyes.1, and I have a YouTube channel, Walfredo Reyes Jr., which has all the Chicago videos with the drum cam.
Yes.
And I'm on Instagram, and I use Instagram and Facebook to basically stay in touch with tours or local gigs, or sometimes some educational and some news and that kind of thing, just to keep up with what I'm doing. And the website, I have a website, WalfredoReyesJr.com, but nobody goes to the website anymore. Social media king.
I do.
That's because we're old.
I know it. That's what I was thinking, but I wasn't going to say that. But we're old school.
Old school.
Yeah, that's
old
exactly
school, right. That's it. Old school.
All right, DH, take it, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another episode of DND Dynamite 80s. We appreciate everyone joining in. Remember, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker Radio, Radio Republic, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, on the TikToker, Facebook, website, Google Podcasts, and you can find all that at DND Dynamite 80s. Shout out to Nashville Voyager Magazine. They did an article on us here recently, so thank you for doing that.
They needed to fill up the magazine.
Yes.
So they did an interview on us.
As we've been saying now for 3 months, we're one of the newest members of the Canyon Star TV family, so you can watch us on the Canyon
You can watch
Star
us on TV.
Platform. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a contractual agreement that we have to do every week. They put us on there because a lot of their shows, they have people that need scarecrows for gardens. So every week we have to give them a pose for a scarecrow. DC, I think this week is your week, right?
No, it's your week again, because you do the most scariest
ones. This one, now, Wally, this is going to be scary, so bear with me here. Here's your pose for the scarecrow of the week.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that will do it.
Everything will be gone. You'll be good to go. Trust me. As I get ready to throw it over to DC, as I end off every week, first off, Wally, Tammy, thank y'all very much for joining us in. DC,
it's been truly honored to have both of you.
I appreciate what you do, brother. You do a great job on the show, so I appreciate you as well. As I always end off before I turn over to DC, folks, it doesn't cost anything extra to be kind, so always be kind to each other.
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. All right. Let's get the sponsors in real quick.
Yes, sir.
DND Dynamite 80s would like to thank their sponsors. Jackie's Creations on Facebook, Riley Rhodes Art Designs at RileyRhodes.art on Instagram, Hudson's Flags and More, Nesting Project of Smyrna, Tennessee, PJG Marketing, Totally Cool 80s, and Charlie Bubbles Cares for Kids. You can find all these great folks online. Yes, you may. Tammy Deaver has those Ultimate Mixtape Books. She's got them right there behind her on her shelf.
Amazing books.
So totally 80s. Check out Tammy. These are great books. If you think you know all about the decades of music with 80s and Tammy, you do 70s as well in these books, right?
70s and 80s.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
If you think you know all the trivia about music in those decades, you may not. You may not.
You don't. Trust
We
me.
don't know much. We get stumped all the time, and I've got the book where I can look up the answers.
Hey, shout out tonight, DC. We're wearing our brand new D&D Dynamite.
Yes, we
shirts.
are. So we
You
appreciate
can get these from Jackie's Creations.
We
And
appreciate
we got the
Jackie.
high school year we graduated on the back, so she'll put your year on there. So it's all
right.
When you go to order, tell her D&D sent you. She'll charge you 20% more. No worries.
Right. Once again. Real quick. Let's do a couple of quick. Who's going to be up here in the next couple of weeks?
Yes.
Michael Hansen, the drummer and founding member of Glass Tiger.
Yes.
The Canadian band will be here next week. Michael Hansen. And then the week after that, Mr. Steve Lynch, co-founder and original Guitars for Autograph.
Yes.
Will be on. So, man, Wally and we've had an amazing run of just fantastic people, and we're blessed that we got a little of their time and got to meet them in our world. It's been fantastic. Wally Reyes, all the best to your family.
Yes.
Be safe in your travels. I know you guys travel all the time, and that's a worry on families as well, man. But all just safe travels, and thank you so much for the gift of talking with us tonight, man. It's been an honor.
Thank you for having me. It's a
And
pleasure.
we definitely will catch up, my friend, again and have you on.
I would love that.
All right. So for Tammy
Thank you,
Dever,
Wally.
yes. Take care of Austin, and we'll see you next week, Tammy, again. And I am DC. That's DH, Wally Reyes Jr. with Chicago. Get out there and see them when they're in your area, and if they're not in your area, you get on a plane and go see them. So there we go. So as DC always kind of leads us out. Keep playing those 80s, my friends, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, folks. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Bye-bye, Wally.